प्राप्त कृपया श्रीगुरुं तं नतोऽस्मि। कृष्णादन्यमजानत क्षणमपि स्वप्नेऽपि विश्वेश्वरे तस्मिन् भक्तिमहैतुकीं विदधतो हृत्काय वापि सदा श्रीलां सद्गुणपुञ्जकेलिनिलयान् प्रेमावतारानहं वन्दे भागवतानिमाननुभवम् मूर्ध्नानिपत्यक्षितौ आजानुलम्बितभुजौ कनकावदातौ सङ्कीर्तनैकपितरौ कमलायताक्षौ विश्वम्भरौ द्विजभरौ युगधर्मपालौ वन्दे जगत्प्रियकरौ करुणावतारौ जयतां सुरतौ पङ्गोर् मम मन्दमतेर्गति मत्सर्वस्वपदाम्भोजौ राधा मदनमोहनौ नीलाचलनिवासाय नित्याय परमात्मने बलभद्रसुभद्राभ्यां जगन्नाथाय ते नमः। चलयसि विक्रमणे बलिमद्भुतवामना पदनखनीरजनितजनपावना चलयसि विक्रमणे बलिमद्भुतवामना पदनखनीरजनितजनपावना केशवधृता वामनरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे। ओम ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्री गुरु दीनतारिणा। Hare Krishna. So let us have a brief overview of what we have been discussing. So we have seen that Aditi strictly followed the Payovrata without any laziness, and Lord Vishnu appears before Aditi and then he reveals his plan to Aditi and he assures Aditi that he would favor her by becoming her son, and thereby Lord Vishnu enters Aditi's womb, and then Lord Vamana appears and the sacred thread ceremony of Lord Vamana has taken place, and after that Vamana Dev enters Bali Maharaj's sacrificial arena, and then Bali Maharaj welcomes Vamana Dev with great respect, and Bali Maharaj requests Vamana Dev to take from him anything he wanted. And in this chapter we have been seeing how Vamana Dev reciprocates with Bali Maharaj's reception, how he glorifies Bali Maharaj and his dynasty, and how Vamana Dev begs for 3 steps of land, and how he speaks on the principles of satisfaction. And then we see what advice Shukracharya, the family spiritual master, he gives to Bali Maharaj. Now we see here Vamana Dev speaking on the principles of satisfaction. Trivikramaira santushto dvipenapi na puryate navavarsha sametena Saptadvipa Parichaya. Then he continues. He says, Vamanadev continues after speaking on principles of satisfaction. Vamanadev speaks about, he begs for 3 steps of land, and he says that although you are very, very beneficent and you are able to give me as much land as I want, I do not want from you anything that is unnecessary for me. So we have seen that day how very important it is to not acquire or spend money extravagantly. Why? Because all property belongs to the Supreme Lord, and all the living entities who are his children have an equal right to use the Supreme Lord's property. And what happens if one takes or one accumulates or one spends extravagantly? One is implicated in sinful life. We have seen the principle of Ishavasyam also. And then why? To whom does everything belong to? Everything belongs to the Supreme Lord. And therefore, this principle should especially be followed by the leaders of the society, namely the Brahmanas and the Sannyasis. Otherwise, they are punishable. So therefore, Vamanadev was an ideal beggar. As an ideal Brahmana, he was asking for only 3 steps of land. And we have seen Bali Maharaj. He is actually telling Vamanadev, although your instructions are as good as those of learned and elderly persons, however, you are a small boy and your intelligence is insufficient. Therefore, you are not very much prudent in regard to your self-interest. That means you do not know what is your self-interest. So he says, I, as the ruler of the entire universe, I am able to give you an entire island because I am the proprietor of the 3 divisions of the universe. So you have come to take something from me and you have pleased me by your sweet words, but you are asking only 3 paces of land. Therefore, you are not very intelligent. So Bali Maharaj is actually treating Vamanadev, although he was very, very impressed on seeing Vamanadev, he was actually treating Vamanadev as small boy. And he said, you are not sufficiently mature, you do not know your self-interest. And then Vamanadev, we have seen what is the Lord's interest. The Supreme Lord definitely does not have any self-interest like a conditioned soul, because he is the proprietor of all the planets. He is the proprietor of the entire cosmic manifestation. He is the proprietor of all the planets, not only in this material world, but also in the spiritual world. He is the proprietor of all the universes, the Ananta Koti Brahmanda. He is the proprietor of everyone. Why should he have any self-interest? So therefore, what is the interest of the Lord? The interest of the Lord is that he always wants the welfare of his devotees. And Lord Vamanadev's incarnation is especially to favor a pure devotee like Bali Maharaj. We will be seeing in our further section how actually the Supreme Lord favors Vamanadev. So therefore, similarly, the Supreme Lord, although having no personal interest, he can do anything for the interests of the devotees, and devotees can also sacrifice all the personal interest to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is the loving reciprocation between the Supreme Lord and a pure devotee of the Supreme Lord. So Vamanadev speaks on principles of satisfaction. And he continues, he says, "Oh my dear king, even if the entirety of whatever may be there within the 3 worlds satisfy one's senses, even the entirety of whatever there may be within the 3 worlds to satisfy one's senses cannot satisfy a person whose senses are uncontrolled." That means for a person whose senses are not controlled, for a person who has not taken to the path of self-realization, for the person who has not taken to the path of Krishna consciousness, for the person who is not following the regulative principles, for such a person, whatever he may achieve in this world, not only in this world, whatever he may achieve in the 3 worlds, still it is not going to satisfy him. So therefore, what is going to satisfy a person? Only devotional service is going to satisfy a person. And what is the beginning stage of devotional service? The beginning stage of devotional service is self-realization. and the beginning stage of self-realization is sense control. So sense control leads to self-realization. And the more one realizes oneself, the more actually one engages in devotional service. Now, what is the self-realization is all about? Self-realization is about to know who one is. Who is one? One is a part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, the eternal servant of the Supreme Lord. To know who one is and to be who one is. And one has to be a servant of the Supreme Lord. One has to act for the interest of the Lord. So that is self-realization. So that is possible only by sense control. So sense control leads to self-realization, and self-realization leads to devotional service. And what can actually satisfy a person? Only devotional service to Supreme Lord can satisfy a person, because when one performs devotional service to the Supreme Lord, what happens is one is actually watering the root of the tree. When the water is poured at the root of the tree, all the leaves and branches automatically get nourished. There is no need to pour water separately on every tree and branch. Similarly, when one takes to the process of Bhakti Yoga, when one takes to the process of Krishna consciousness, beginning with Shravanam and Kirtanam, beginning with chanting the holy names of the Lord and glorifying the Lord, then what happens is one actually experiences immense satisfaction. But when one is not sense controlled is a preliminary, it's a prerequisite to perform devotional service. But when one's senses are not controlled, when one is indiscriminately indulging in sense gratification, Bhogeshwarya Prashaktanam, Dayapahrita Chetasham, Vyavasayatmika Buddhi, Samadona Vidiyate, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, to those who are too much engrossed in Bhogeshwari Prashaktanam, Dayapahrita Chetasham, Vyavasayatmika Buddhi, Samadona Vidiyate. For such a person who is engrossed in sense gratification, he will never get the taste to inquire about the self. He will never get a taste for devotional service. But when one is uncontrolled, when one's senses are uncontrolled, come what may, whatever he may achieve, not only in this world, but in the three worlds, he may achieve all the wealth, he may achieve anything, but still it cannot satisfy him. He will always be in anxiety. We have seen the example of Hiranyakashipu also. He actually achieved everything, but still, despite achieving everything in the three worlds, his anxiety only increased because his senses were not controlled. He became master of everyone, but he remained servant to his senses. So therefore, he was always in anxiety. The more he achieved, the more he was in anxiety. So the Supreme Lord is saying, whatever may be in the three worlds, whatever one may achieve in three worlds, if one's senses are not controlled, then he is always going to be dissatisfied. So let us continue today. Trivikramaira santushto dvipe na puryate navavarsha sametena saptadvipa parichaya. Then he says, if I were not to be satisfied with 3 paces of land, then surely I would not be satisfied even with possessing one of the 7 islands consisting of the 9 varshas. Even if I possessed one land, I would hope to get others. That means if I am not satisfied, if one is not satisfied with what one is actually gifted, with what one is allocated by the will of providence, what is the one's quota? What is the plan of providence for one's maintenance? What is one's quota? How to understand one's quota? One's quota can be understood by how much time he is actually making use of this human form of life for self-realization. So, if one is not at all pursuing towards self-realization, that means he doesn't even know what is his allocated quota. So therefore, when one actually works for a limited amount of time, and for the other time he uses for cultivating self-realization, then whatever he gets in that by working for that limited amount of time, that is actually his quota. So what is one's quota and what is not one's quota can be understood only when he takes to the process of self-realization or Krishna consciousness. If he is able to work for 8 hours and he is able to allocate some time regularly, systematically to cultivate devotional service, to pursue the highest goal of human form of life, then whatever he gets by working in a limited amount of time, say maximum of 8 hours, that only is his quota, material quota. So therefore, Vamanadev is saying, if I were not satisfied with these 3 pieces of land, then I would not be satisfied even with possessing one of the 7 islands. So therefore, even if I possessed one island, I would hope to get others. So we all see this in our life also. If we are not satisfied with what we get by working for 8 hours, or in other words, whatever is destined to us, how do we know what is destined for us? How do we know what is our quota? We can know what is our quota when we actually allocate sufficient time for Krishna conscious activities. One must allocate sufficient time for chanting the glories of the Lord. One must allocate sufficient time for hearing the glories of the Lord. One must allocate sufficient time for rendering some service to the Lord, rendering some service to the devotees, rendering some service to the mission of the Lord and the mission of the Acharya, and to assist the mission of the Acharya. After that, whatever is remaining. And of course, one will have some bodily activities also to perform, like, taking care of one's body, eating, sleeping, taking bath, and all the other activities. But one must allocate a fixed amount of time in order to pursue the highest goal of life. One must allocate a fixed amount of time in order to practice Krishna consciousness. And after that, after allocating that, whatever one is able to actually get in the remaining time, that only is his quota. Anything more than that, he is not going to be satisfied. If he is actually going to allocate, if he is going to neglect self-realization, if one is going to neglect self-realization and pursue to maintain the body, then how much ever he gets, he may get a job. He may think my salary is very low. So why don't I go for a higher job? He will go for a higher job. He will get more money. But if he does not allocate time to cultivate self-realization, then how much ever he is going to earn, it is actually going to only frustrate him. The more he earns, the more he is going to become anxious, because he does not know the goal of life. He does not know what is his quota. He keeps on working, forgetting about the Lord. And so he says, Vamanadev says, even if I possessed one island, I would hope to get. See, you are telling that you will give me an island. But even if I possess one island, I would want to get the other islands. How many of us have seen this happen to us in our life? We want to possess something, but if we are not Krishna conscious, we are never going to be satisfied. Or before we came to Krishna consciousness, or before we actually started the process of Bhakti Yoga, we all have an experience that how much ever we are actually going to achieve, how much ever we achieve, we are never satisfied. We are always looking for more. Right? There is no santushta. There is no satisfaction. So therefore, one must understand that unless one takes to the process of devotional service, how much ever one is actually going to achieve, it is not going to satisfy one. Yadrichayopapannena santushto vartate sukham nasantushtastribhirlokair ajitatmopashaditai. So he says here, one should be satisfied with whatever he achieves by his previous destiny. For discontent can never bring happiness. A person who is not self-controlled will not be happy even with possessing the 3 worlds. A very classic example is Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu actually possessed everything in the 3 worlds, but he was never happy. So therefore, one should be satisfied with whatever he achieves by his previous destiny. So how to know what is our previous destiny? Same thing. One has to take to the process of Krishna consciousness, and one has to be very careful when actually endeavoring for one's maintenance or for any material things for that matter. One has to work not more than 8 hours. Maximum one can work is 8 hours. That's all. And other time one has to make use for self-realization. And then whatever you get by doing this, when you allocate 8 hours for your work, maximum of 8 hours to maintain the body through some means of work. And the other time, of course, say 24 hours are there in a day. 8 hours maximum you can allocate to earn your livelihood. How much time is remaining? 16 hours is remaining. And then say 6 hours goes to 6 or 7 hours. So 7 hours goes in sleeping. And then how much time we have remaining now? 8 plus 7. 15 hours is over. Then 9 hours is remaining. And in that 9 hours, eating, taking bath, and other things, they are going to take some time. So how much time we are actually allocating in order to perform devotional service? There is no limit for this actually. But if we do not allocate any fixed amount of time every day to pursue the highest goal of life, then we will always be dissatisfied. We will never know what is our destiny. We keep on working hard. So we should be very satisfied with whatever we get by the dint of our good karma, instead of unnecessarily over-endeavoring. So unless we adopt this formula, we will not even know what is our destiny. Whatever you are destined to get, you will know only when you allocate time in order to cultivate spiritual life. If we do not allocate time to cultivate our spiritual life, we will just keep on working like dogs and hogs. That's all. Frothing in our mouths. If we do not allocate sufficient time, then we will not even know what is our destiny. Even to know what is our destiny, one has to have a balance. One has to allocate time in order to practice Krishna consciousness. And in those 8 hours, whatever, by working for those 8 hours maximum, whatever you are getting, that is only your destiny. Because the purpose of human form of life is not simply to maintain this body very nicely. The purpose of human form of life is to actually understand what is our dharma. Ahara nidra bhayamaitunam cha samanametat pashubir naranam dharmohitesham adhiko vishesho dharmena hina pashubir samana. If we do not understand what is dharma, then there is no difference between us and the animals. So therefore, human form of life, the main purpose of human form of life is to understand dharma, to understand who we are, from where we have come, where we are going to go after death. What is our relationship with the Supreme Lord? Why am I suffering in this world? How to come out of these clutches of birth and death? How to come out of the clutches of these 3 types of suffering? This is the purpose of human form of life. The purpose of human form of life is not to work very hard to maintain this body, because this body is going to be finished today or tomorrow. So what is the purpose of working so hard to maintain this body? If for example, if there is a parrot and you put it in a golden cage, there is a parrot, you put it in a golden cage, and then every day you are cleaning the cage very nicely, but you forget to feed the parrot. What is going to happen? The parrot is going to die. So that is similar to what we do when we do not practice Krishna consciousness. Practicing Krishna consciousness means what? One has to allocate time for spiritual activities. One has to allocate time to chant the holy names of the Lord. So Srila Prabhupada said there, minimum 16 rounds. Now we say here, maximum 8 hours you have to work. But in spiritual life, there is no maximum, there is no end. Minimum 16 rounds of chanting. Minimum half an hour to 1 hour of study of Srila Prabhupada's books. And one has to allocate time in order to take up some responsibility for the Lord's service or for the mission of the Acharya. One has to take up some responsibility in one's own capacity. After that, whatever time you have, maximum 8 hours, whatever you earn in that, that is only your destiny. This is how we understand what is our destiny. We can understand what is our destiny only when we actually pursue towards the real goal of life. Kulashekar Alvar prays very beautifully. Nasta dharme navasu nichaye naiva kamopabhoge yadbhavyam tad bhavatu bhagavan purva karmanurupam etat pratyam mama bahumatam janma janmantarepe tvatpadambor yugagata nischala bhaktirastu. He prays, Nasta dharme navasu nichaye. I do not want to perform any dharma in order to get some material gain. Naiva kamopabhoge, I do not want any material enjoyment. Yadbhavyam tad bhavatu bhagavan purva karmana rupam. Let all these things, O Supreme Lord, come to me as per my purva karma. Yadbhavyam tad bhavatu bhagavan purva karmana rupam. Let all these things come to me as per my destiny. Then what does he want? Etat pratyam mama bahumatam. But I want one thing. Etat pratyam mama bahumatam. Janma janmantarepi. Tatpadambor yugagata nischala bhaktirastu. Let me always remain under the shelter of your lotus feet. Tatpadambor yugagata nischala bhaktirastu. Let me always render devotional service unto your lotus feet. Janma janmantarepi, birth after birth, birth after birth. I do not want any material things at all. Let all these things come to me as per my destiny. Let the sufferings come as per my destiny. Let the happiness come as per my destiny. Anyway, I cannot change that. So what I should do? Just by working hard, it is not that we can change for what we are destined for. We just cannot change what we are destined for just by working hard. Then what should we do? Human form of life should be utilized for cultivating Krishna consciousness. When you cultivate Krishna consciousness, when you allocate time for Krishna consciousness, then you will understand what is actually your quota. When you allocate time for Krishna conscious activities, every day you have to allocate some time. And how much time to allocate, you may ask me. That depends on what level of Krishna consciousness you are in. But whatever it may be, one has to allocate some time, a fixed amount of time for chanting the holy names of the Lord, for hearing about the Lord, and to render some service to the Lord on behalf of the spiritual master, to assist the mission of the spiritual master. One has to take time. So therefore, Vamanadev is saying like this, one should be satisfied with whatever he achieves by his previous destiny. Pumshoyam samshriter hetur asantoshoortha kamayo yatrichayo papannena santosho muktaye smrita. Then he continues, he says, material existence causes discontent in regard to satisfying one's lusty desires and achieving more and more money. This is the cause for the continuation of material life, which is full of repeated birth and death. But one who is satisfied by that which is obtained by destiny is fit for liberation from this material existence. We have seen the prayer of Kulashekara. Kulashekara Alvar, he says, Nasta dharme navasuniche. Let all this material happiness and sufferings come to me as per my karma. Please, I do not want any dharma. I do not want any dharma. I do not want any wealth. Nasta dharme navasu nichaya. I do not want any wealth. Let all these things come to me as per my quota, as per my destiny. Then what does he want? He wants only pure devotional service. Because he knows that a pure devotee always wants pure devotional service only, because he knows that he has got this body. He has got this body only as a result of his previous karma. Already this body is difficult, and still if we do not make use of this body properly, this human form of life, then one is going to be implicated in the cycle of birth and death perpetually. What is the use? Again, you are going to take birth. So therefore, this human form of life is very, very important. And this material existence, it causes so much discontent. We see the society today, everybody is after money. Definitely, money is like honey. But how many people are really satisfied in their hearts? Do we find a sense of satisfaction in their hearts? Are they so happy? Are they so contented? The more they get money, the more the desire to achieve more money increases. It just burns like a fire. Just by fulfilling our desires for sense gratification, separate from the Lord, that sense gratification, that desire only increases. It burns. He may want to earn money. After he has earned money, is it that he's very, very satisfied with that money? Absolutely not. He is just burning. The desire to increase, the desire to earn more money increases. So therefore, material existence, it actually causes discontent in regard to satisfying one's lusty desires. And by achieving more and more money. And by that, what happens? He becomes implicated in the cycle of birth and death again. Because by doing that, he identifies himself with the body more and more. Instead of knowing that this body, I have got this body because I have rebelled against the Lord. That's why I am put into this material world. And still, I am very fortunate. Among all the other species, I have got a human form of life. So this is the best you can get. Best form of life you can get. The human form of life. Still, if you do not use it properly, and if you use it only for sense gratification, then you are going to identify yourself more with the body. And then you are going to be repeatedly pushed in the cycle of birth and death. So therefore, one must know how to remain satisfied with one's material possession. If happiness is the ultimate goal of life, then one must be satisfied with the position in which he is placed by providence. And so we have seen how to know what is our quota or what is our destiny. We can know what is our destiny only when we take to regulated life. Regulated life includes, regulated life means allocating some time in order to practice Krishna consciousness. That is regulated life. So if you take to regulated life, you will know what is your quota. If you take to Krishna consciousness, you will know what is your quota. Otherwise, you will be mad. You will not even understand what is your destiny. You think I have to get everything in this world. Because you feel you are the center. That is the problem. That is why the false ego, it makes us think that we are the center of everything. We are the center of this whole material existence. Everyone is looking at me, although nobody is actually looking at us. And even if they are looking, they may look with some envy. That's all. So one must be satisfied. If happiness is the ultimate goal of life, one must be satisfied with the position in which he is placed by providence. And to understand what is one's quota or what is the providence plan, what is one's quota or what is one's destiny, one must take to regulated life. Sukham Aindriyakam Daitya, Prahlad Maharaj says, Deha Yogena Dehinam Sarvatra Labhyate Daivat Yatha Dukkham Ayat Nata. He says, my dear friends, Sukham Aindriyakam Daitya, my dear friends, born of demonic families, Deha Yogena Dehinam Sarvatra Labhyate Daivat, the happiness perceived with reference to sense objects by contact with the body can be obtained in any form of life. First of all, we have seen what is the nature of this happiness due to sense gratification. What is the nature of happiness which is obtained by the contact of sense objects and the senses? Ehi samparshaja bhoga dukhayonaya evate adyantavanta kaunteya nateshu ramate buddha. This happiness which is got by the contact of senses and the sense objects, it has a adi and it has an anta. It has a beginning and it has an end. That is why it never gives you satisfaction. It has a beginning and it has an end. So therefore, it may give you some kind of a kick, but it may, make you feel you are on a very high, whatever it may be. It may take you very high in the air, but immediately it will just put you down. How much can we enjoy? What is our capacity to enjoy? Can we eat more than 10 gulab jamuns? Even if you like gulab jamun so much, how much can we eat? So how much can we enjoy this material existence? Our capacity to enjoy is very, very small. We are very, very small people. So therefore, this happiness, which we have been discussing, perceived with reference to the sense objects by contact with the body, can be obtained in any form of life. Vamana Dev is saying, Prahlad Maharaj is saying, this sense gratification, whatever sense, enjoyment is there, whatever happiness is there because of the contact of senses and the sense objects, that is available even to the animals. Any form of life, not only in human form of life, even dogs are enjoying sense gratification. Dogs are also enjoying sex life. It is not that it is for only human beings. So therefore, such happiness is automatically obtained without any endeavor. Is a dog endeavoring for happiness? A dog on the street, it is getting as per its karma. Whatever food it has to get, it is also eating. Whatever amount of facilities to maintain the body, some time to sleep, it is also getting. Is it over endeavoring for all these things? For food, or for sleep, or in order to, unite with a dog of the opposite sex? Is it endeavoring so much? Or in order to defend itself? Is it endeavoring so much? But what about humans? They are endeavoring so much. Just to eat, 5 or 6 chapatis maximum. People are working for 12 hours a day. Maybe more than that also. Right? They are doing that. And have we seen any dog commit suicide? Because it did not get food, or because of any other reason, but humans are doing that. Because why are humans doing that? Because humans have some intuition. Humans have higher intelligence. But suicide is not the way out, definitely. They know. Humans know to some extent. The only thing required is one has to take to the teachings of scriptures and lead a regulated life. So such happiness is automatically obtained without any endeavor. These animals, they are getting this happiness. Are they working so hard for it? Is the dog working so hard to get some chapati? Automatically it is getting. And what about the elephants? Srila Prabhupada gives this example. Elephants in a forest. Who is maintaining them? Who is maintaining them? The Supreme Lord is maintaining them. And how is he maintaining them? Perfectly. Are they dying because of lack of food? Then all this inequality is actually created only in the human society, because human society is completely misdirected. Because human form of life is meant to understand dharma. People are not understanding what is dharma, so they are living just like animals. And when very responsible people live like this, then what happens to the society? It's a human form of life, is a life of great responsibility. What is that responsibility? That responsibility is to understand dharma. And when persons in responsible post, they act irresponsibly, then there will be chaos in the society. That is the reason why we have so much of inequality and chaos in the society. Because whoever is supposed to be responsible is not responsible. So what is our responsibility in human form of life? Not just to endeavor for sense gratification like cats and dogs. Our responsibility is to understand what is the purpose of life and to act according to that purpose. Then what is real happiness? Sukham atyantikam yattat buddhigrahyam atindriyam veti yatrana chayvayam stitas chalati tattvataha. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. What is this sukha then? What is this real sukha? In the spiritually joyous state, one is situated in boundless transcendental happiness and enjoys himself through transcendental senses. And thus, because what is meant by this transcendental senses? When the senses are engaged in the service of the master of the senses, Rishikesha, then one's senses are actually purified. And then the real happiness, when one is actually established in real happiness, he never departs from the truth. And what is the truth? The truth is to know what is our dharma. So one has to perceive happiness. Happiness can be perceived only by the super senses. happiness cannot be perceived by these senses. So the senses have to be purified. When the senses are purified, with the purified senses, we can actually perceive happiness. Now we are in a diseased condition. A diseased patient does not know. A diseased person just cannot enjoy. He has to recover from the disease, and he has to become normal. For example, take a patient who has been affected with COVID or corona. That person has to become normal in order to start enjoying. Similarly, we, the conditioned souls who are entrapped in this material body, we have to first of all become normal. We have to come to a normal situation. Only then we can know what is real enjoyment. So whatever enjoyment we are actually trying to achieve through the senses, through sense gratification, that is not real enjoyment. Then what is real happiness? Real happiness is he is actually serving the Supreme Lord, and he never departs from the service of the Supreme Lord. And how to attain that real happiness? Sarvopadi vinirmuktam tatparatvena nirmalam rishikena rishikesha tevanam bhakti ruchyate. One can obtain that real happiness when the spiritual senses are uncovered. Now the spiritual senses are all covered. When the spiritual senses are uncovered, then one can be happy. Then satisfaction of the spiritual senses. How can one actually uncover the spiritual senses? Rishikena rishikesha sevanam bhakti ruchyate. One has to serve the master of the senses. When the senses are engaged in devotional service to the Supreme Lord, then the senses are uncovered and the senses are completely purified. That is real happiness. So without this knowledge, one may try to satisfy one's material senses, but happiness is never possible. He may increase his ambition for sense gratification and even achieve what he desires. But because this is on the material platform, he will never achieve satisfaction or contentment. He may endeavor anything. One may endeavor for anything. Still, he will not. That is what Vamanadev is saying here. One may endeavor, one may get everything in the three worlds, but still he is not going to be satisfied if his senses are uncontrolled. So therefore, I do not want anything more than these three lands. He is actually displaying the example of a perfect Brahmana. Yadrichalabhatustasya tejo viprasya vartate tat prashantyat yashantoshat ambhaseva susukshani. A Brahmana who is satisfied with whatever is providentially obtained is increasingly enlightened with spiritual power, but the spiritual potency of a dissatisfied Brahmana decreases, just as fire diminishes in potency when water is sprinkled upon it. So we have seen someone who is actually satisfied with whatever he gets by the will of providence or whatever he gets by his destiny. Such a person who is always satisfied, he is increasingly enlightened with spiritual power. So we have seen how to know what is our quota, how to know what is our destiny. We can know what is our destiny only when we take to regulated life. Only when we come to Sattva Guna, we will know what is our destiny. If we are not going to allocate some time for spiritual life, if we are not going to live a regulated life, we will not even know what is our destiny. So a Brahmana who is satisfied with whatever is providentially obtained, a person who is satisfied with whatever he gets by his destiny, he is increasingly enlightened with spiritual power. Santushta satatam yogi yadatma dhrida nishchaya, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. Adveshta sarva bhutana maitra karuna evacha nirmamo nirahamkara samadukha sukakshami santushta satatam yogi yadatma dhrida nishchaya. So, but the spiritual potency of a dissatisfied Brahmana, a Brahmana who is actually supposed to be the leader of the society, the Brahmana who is supposed to be the most spiritually elevated class in the society, if that person is going to be dissatisfied, then whatever spiritual potency he has is going to become diminished. But if that person is going to remain satisfied, then whatever spiritual potency he has is actually going to increase. So you see, the living entities, if they are satisfied in whatever they, achieve by the result of their destiny, then they are actually fit for liberation. And if they are not going to be satisfied with whatever they achieve by the means of, by their destiny, they are going to continue in the cycle of birth and death. Similarly, the Brahmanas, if they are actually satisfied with whatever they get by destiny, their spiritual power increases, their Brahmanical power increases. And if they are dissatisfied, then their Brahmanical power decreases. So it's a question of how one actually, and what is the basis for all these things? What is the basis to know what we are destined for? The basis is regulation. Tasmat trinipadan nanyeva vrinetvat varadarshabhat eta vataiva siddhoham vittam yavat prayojanam. Then he says, Vamanadev says, therefore, O king, from you, the best of those who give charity, I ask, Varadarshabhat, he says, you are the person, you are the best person who can give charity. I ask for only 3 paces of land. So Vamanadev first asks for 3 paces of land, and then Bali Maharaj actually tries to tell him, see, you are a small boy, ask for something more. You are very intelligent, I like you very much. But you are speaking like a learned man, but still you are a small boy. So ask for more. Then Vamanadev speaks on principles of this satisfaction. He is actually teaching Bali Maharaj and for all of us, what are the principles of being satisfied. So he says, I ask only 3 paces of land. So he is convinced. He says all this and he wants to adhere to what he is saying. He is the Supreme Lord after all. I ask only for 3 paces of land. By such a gift, I shall be very, very pleased. For the way of happiness is to be fully satisfied, to receive that which is absolutely needed. So this is a very important point. Only when we aim for that which is absolutely needed, only then we can be happy. So we should be very careful to know what is absolutely needed and what is not needed. What are necessities and what is luxury. What is regulation and what is extravagance. So all these things are not, we cannot understand all these things unless we take to a regulated life. Regulated life. Regulation must be there in every activity. Yuktahara viharasya, yukta cheshtasya karmasu, yukta swapnavabodhasya, yogot bhavati dukkaha. So this regulation must be there. Without this regulation, one will not even be able to understand anything. What is one's quota? Son is so confused. He thinks everything belongs to me. So he says, by such a gift, I shall be very, very pleased. And then Shukdev Goswami continues. The Supreme Lord, Ityukta sahasannaha vanchata pratigrihyatam vamanaya mahindatum jagraha jalabhajanam. And then when the Supreme Lord spoke to Bali Maharaj, Shukdev Goswami says, Bali Maharaj smiled and told him, all right, take whatever you like. To confirm his promise to give Vamanadeva the desired land, he then took up his water pot. So the next section is Shukracharya's advice to Bali Maharaj. We will cover this tomorrow. If there are any questions, we can take up.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandat Pranam. Can I ask for one word?
Yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji, thank you for a nice class, Prabhuji. You have clearly told us what is need and what is greed, Prabhuji. It is we need to be how to conduct ourselves in our daily life to do bhakti and attain into Krishna consciousness. Thank you, Prabhuji. Very nicely told, Prabhuji. What is need and what is greed? I could get the essence of it. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranam. Prabhuji, can I ask one thing, Prabhuji? I mean, Prabhuji, sometimes the demands of the inflation is so much as we don't know. I mean, to buy the basic needs also you need to have some good amount. You can't just. I mean, I want to say that. Just an average earning, we would not be able to sustain the daily routine activities of the house also, Prabhuji. Then how to go about it, Prabhuji?
Very practical question, Mataji. Thank you. So the key, as I said, Mataji, is regulation. For example, say both of us are there. Both of us are waking up at say 4 o'clock. Okay. And then we are allocating some time for spiritual activities. And after that, we have some family duties. And say after that, we have to work somewhere. Maybe say you are also working, I am also working. And we work for 8 hours. And after working for 8 hours, say I am getting some amount, you are getting some amount. Whatever we get in this, we have to adjust our life in such a way that we cover all that is necessary in this only. So what you are saying is that even for an average life, we have to work very hard, right? See, there is nothing like average life or anything. It all depends on what is required. I have seen so many devotees for years together. They are earning a very small amount, but they are staying very comfortably. Because if you see their life, it is so simple. They adjust their life in such a way that all the unnecessary expenses can be cut.
Yes, Prabhuji.
So that is why I said that regulation is the key.
Yes,
regulation is the key. And I'll tell you one more important aspect of regulation. When you are regulated and when you allocate your time for spiritual activities and you practice spiritual activities very intensely and sincerely in whatever time you have allocated to yourself, then you get so much reciprocation from the Supreme Lord that he will give you intelligence for everything. He will give you intelligence how to live your life. He will give you intelligence how to save more time. I have seen, every day I am seeing in our community, there are devotees, their work schedule is so tight, so tough. They are all very big, managers and very big posts in various companies. But the way they actually strike a balance, they are so intelligent, when they take to, of course, this is just a byproduct of performing devotional service, I should say. This should not be the goal of devotional service. But I have seen that those devotees, whatever work others are able to do in say 8 hours, these people are able to do that in 3 or 4 hours. Because whatever time they have allocated to serve the Supreme Lord, in that time they are actually doing that very, very sincerely. So Lord gives them intelligence. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yevanamam payanti. Of course, Krishna gives intelligence. The main, this should not be the main goal, that if I take to devotional service, I don't need to spend so much time. Anyway, Krishna will give me intelligence so that, I don't need to work so hard at my work. That is not the correct attitude. But let me tell you, if you take to devotional service sincerely, for pleasing the Supreme Lord, for pleasing the spiritual master, understanding the importance of that, then even in your day-to-day activities, Lord will give you so much of strength to perform them very easily so that you can allot more time for Lord service.
Yes,
yes, I have seen that happening. And when you say, even for an average life, there is nothing called as, average life or, this Mataji. It all varies from person to person. What is average for you may be above average for me, right? For somebody having a, Benz car may be average. Probably they want to have an Audi. That is only high standard for them, right? But if you say, I don't have even a Maruti car. So for some people, having a Maruti car may be average, having a Benz may be high. So that average and below average, that's all very relative, Mataji. What is important is regulation. Regulation and how sincerely you are taking to devotional service in that regulated time. And then Krishna will give you all intelligence so that, see, he is the master of everyone and everything, right?
Yes, Prabhu.
He will give you intelligence. That is a verse, no? Ananyas chintayanto man yejana paryupasate desha nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vaham. Krishna says to one who is Ananya, who is actually practicing, endeavoring for Ananya Bhakti, he gives whatever is required, and he preserves whatever is needed.
Yes, Prabhuji.
So if you
Thank you,
take
Prabhuji.
Krishna service very sincerely, if you take to devotional service very sincerely, then Lord will give you all facility to give more time to him. And one part of giving more time to the Lord is you are little bit comfortable bodily also. The Lord will give all intelligence. But for that intelligence, we should not take to devotional service sincerely. We should take to devotional service sincerely to please the Lord, to please the spiritual master. And then when we do that, one automatically is blessed with intelligence for all other things. I am seeing every day, I am seeing for those who are actually taking to this process very sincerely, very dedicatedly, without expectation of anything, very selflessly. They, whatever other people in their workplace may be doing for 8 hours or so, these people do it in 2 or 3 hours. But they don't endeavor sincerely in devotional service so that they can do their office work in 2-3 hours. That is not their goal, but that is a byproduct. All right?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
If there are no questions, we can stop.